Hello everyone! Today we will be packaging the freebies I made for the P1Harmony concert on October 1st in Toronto. I thought as I'm putting these together, we can chat about questions you might have about K-pop concert freebies, handing out freebies, freebie etiquette. So let's get into it. So these are my fan-made photo cards. The original image was taken from a POB. I believe it's K-Town for you, but correct me if I'm wrong. They are originally doing like the haranghae like hand move right there for the photos, but I took some inspo from when Mark Lee was like the Tim Hortons ambassador in South Korea when Timmy's opened up there. So I basically took the image and then photoshopped in Tim Hortons donuts. I thought it'd be pretty fun considering they're coming back to Toronto. Kyo's from Toronto. And so, yeah, I thought it would be a fun idea to do this type of freebie. This will be my first P1Harmony concert. I'm super excited. And anyway, I got a bunch of questions on a TikTok that I did during the summer about Stray Kids freebies for the Dominate tour. And I noticed there were like several common questions. So I will attempt to answer them now. If there are any questions that you may have about freebies, about K-pop freebies that I didn't answer in this video, please feel free to leave a comment. I will definitely answer. I will do my best to answer your questions about freebies. So yeah. Also, I will be reusing actually top loaders and sleeves from previous mail hauls. I have my washi tape, and I thought I would also just add in these like fun little puppy doggy stickers. Okay, so I realized I started making the freebies and I started talking and didn't press record. So we're trying that again, but you can see I already started putting together some freebies here. I have Kiho and Intak, and I'm making a Jung right now. Okay, so first question that I got was, do you have to make freebies for a K-pop concert? And the answer is no, you don't have to make freebies for a K-pop concert. It's completely optional. It's totally up to you and your time and your budget, and if you want to, and you don't have to you don't have to make freebies to attend a K-pop concert. Okay, so next question that I have is, what kind of freebies can you make? And I would say that that is totally up to you. That's totally up to your time and the budget that you want to put into making freebies. But it's a lot of the common concert freebies, K-pop concert freebies that you'll see are fan-made photo cards, like right here. I have also seen like phone charms are quite popular, bracelets are quite popular. Stickers, fan like mini pickets, concert, like kind of the fake like fan made concert tickets. It's really like, again, it's really up to you and what you'd like to make. So for me, I haven't been to too many K-pop concerts, but to the ones I've been to, I've made phone charms, I've made these handmade or fan-made photo cards, as you can see here. What else have I made? I think that's like kind of it. Like I've had like Lomo cards in my freebie package. I've made like the 4x6 like images of the group. But yeah, but I've seen so many different creative things at concerts. Like a lot of people do like funny memes that they make like out of stickers. People can get really creative. Like people have made like crochet things, photo books, like little mini DIY photo books, which was really cool. Yeah, like it's just really awesome what people have made for the different concerts that I've been to. And you know, if you have a great idea and that you want to do, then you know, why not? I would give advice, if I could give advice for concerts, for K-pop freebie concerts, it would really be to try to plan ahead as early as you can. Even if you're kind of doing something that you think is a little bit simple, then I would still try to plan ahead, just because you never know. You might like run out of material, or you might, you know, the idea might not work out like as soon as you're starting to put it together. Like I was, I can't remember if it was for Stray Kids or for S, but I originally wanted to do like tickets. Was it tickets, or I originally wanted to do bracelets actually. And I just like did not have enough beads. I didn't have enough string. It was getting too late to order them. So I kind of had to pivot and make phone charms instead. And it still worked out. It still worked out really well, but it was definitely something where had I had more time, or had I started a bit earlier, I probably would have been able to make the bracelets, but alas, I did not have enough time. So that would be my piece of advice, is if you are thinking of making freebies for the concert, then try to start as early as possible, because you may find that you run out of supplies, or the things that you were originally intending to do don't work out. So you'll have to like pivot and find something else that you want to do for freebies for the concert. Okay, so another common question that I got is, what if you don't have anything to hand back? Like if someone hands you a freebie, what do you do if you don't have anything to give back to them? And so my answer to that is, that's okay. You don't have to have like anything to give back if someone gives you a freebie. It is completely, well, it's in the name, it's completely free. So there's no expectation, at least for me, and I know a lot of other people that hand out freebies, there's absolutely no expectation to give something back when you're handed a freebie. They're called freebies for a reason. They're for free. We do it just because we want to, and we know that it would make people's day brighter. It's a fun aspect of like K-pop concert culture. So there's no expectation. So please don't feel bad if you don't have anything to hand back to someone who gives you a freebie, because that's probably the intention, is like we go into these things without any expectation of getting something in return. I mean, I feel like if there was an expectation of like getting something in return, then you should say it, like saying like, oh, I'm only doing trades, at which point I would say it ceases to be a freebie and it's a tradesy at that point, which we can get into later. But if someone says this is a freebie, then you're getting it for free. So please don't feel obligated to give something back in return. Okay, and then also relatedly, this isn't necessarily a question, but I did see a couple of comments, or a few comments of people saying that they wish they could come up and ask for freebies, but they're much too shy, which I do get. It can be a little like, K-pop concerts can be a little chaotic. There's tons of crowds. There, people going in every direction, there's different things to do. It can be quite overwhelming, especially if you just see a huge group of people just coming up and like surrounding someone handing out freebies. But I would just say is like, please do come up. At least for me, I'm trying to get rid of the freebies that I've had, like that I've made. I don't want to be like bringing in like a bag of freebies that I made into the venue. So please do come up to me. I know that I think that there's some people that are like a bit maybe cautious or afraid of the fact that like someone is only looking for trades. So they might say no, that they're only looking for trades. So like, no, you can't have this freebie, which again, I would say at that point, don't call it a freebie if you're expecting something in return. But for the people who are a bit too shy to ask, I mean, I would just still say, know that the people who are making freebies, they are doing it because they want to. They are doing it because they're not expecting anything in return. And like me, they are probably wanting to get rid of the bag of freebies that they made before they enter the venue. So I would not be too nervous. And I know all it takes is kind of like one bad encounter to like put you off of asking freebies. But please don't let that be, a marker of how other people who have freebies, like, or like kind of the K-pop freebie culture. Please don't let that be like the standard that you set for yourself, because in my experience, it's been so great, like seeing people hand out their freebies, and it just makes people's day brighter. And again, for me, like what I really enjoy about making freebies is that it's I hope it becomes like a memorable part of someone's concert experience. I do enjoy seeing people's eyes light up when I do offer them a freebie or when they ask for a freebie. So don't think that you're inconveniencing them, I would say. Don't think that you're inconveniencing them. Don't think that you don't deserve a freebie. You absolutely do. So I would still just try to come up. And the other thing that you could do, I guess, is if you do spot someone like handing out freebies, maybe like kind of just try to go near them. And if you're like if they're like me, like if the person is handing out freebies, if they're like me, I will just notice you kind of like lingering and like eyeing my freebie bag. So I'm just gonna be like, yeah, here, have a freebie. So that's also another thing that you could probably do. Other situation is it bad etiquette to ask for a freebie for you and your friend? Like, say if your friend's too shy, or even if your friend's like in the bathroom or something like that. I've had some people say, oh, I've only, like, people who are handing out freebies, they would say like, okay, well, I'll give a freebie to you, but your friend's not here, so I'm not going to give a freebie to them. I guess like it's, for me personally, I'd be like, sure, I've had that happen to me before where people come up to me and say like, oh, like can I have a freebie for me and my friend? She's in the bathroom, but she would really want one. I personally don't mind. I guess it would get into a sticky situation if there was someone who came up to you and they were like, ooh, can I also get a freebie for me and my friend and my other friend and my mom and my cousin? And then you start getting into like people wanting like 5-6 freebies at a time. I mean, again, I would say that's kind of, if you're the one handing out freebies, that's kind of up to you, especially if your goal with the freebies for that, in that moment is to just hand out as many freebies as possible. That's totally up to you. But I guess for me, it would really just depend on the situation. I've really only had people come up to me asking for like one other friend and not like a group of people. But apparently that's happened before. Again, I think that would be up to the individual person giving out the freebies, if they feel comfortable doing that, or if they, want to save their freebies to ensure that it gets out to as many people as possible. Okay, another question that I've gotten is, how much money do you tend to spend on freebies? I'd say I can tell you me personally how much I spend, but again, it's really very individual to the person that's making the freebies and how much they're willing to spend and the time they're willing to put in. So for me, I would say that I spent like, for like anywhere from like 150 to like 200 freebies. The average that I would spend would probably be like $60. And that could be a lot for some people, and that could be not too bad for some people. I would like say $60 to like $80. And a lot of that goes to the printing and the supplies. So a lot of the time, if I already have the supplies, then it's really not a lot of money at all. It's really just my time at that point. So if I am deciding to make, say, phone charms, and I already have the beads, the letter beads, and like the string and all of the equipment from like previous times that I've made that, well, that in that particular instance is not going to cost me anything. But if I run out of supplies, if I run out of ink to print these out, then obviously that factors into what to how much I'm going to spend. So I guess it depends on what your startup costs would be, in a sense. Do you already have those things in your home? Like, do you already have a printer? Do you already have beads and string and like things that where you make like your jewelry maker or things like that? And if you do, then it's not really going to cost you a lot. Then you'll have to make the decision on like, okay, well, if I don't have that, am I willing to buy all of that for a concert, or am I willing to buy all that knowing that I'll probably go to more concerts in the future? So it's more of, again, startup costs, or it's just like supply costs for future concerts. So even if it won't cost a ton of money now, it'll be fine later for the next couple of concerts. So it's really, really just down to your budget. If you don't have a lot of money, but you really want to hand out freebies, there are some like cheaper alternatives. You can probably go to like a printer. I don't know what the printers are. I think like I keep thinking of like a Kinko's. Is that still a thing in the US? Or like a Walgreens, I guess, a printer. Like here we'll have like Walmart prints out photos, and they do have cheap options for printing out like a stack of photos. That's what I did for one of my Stray Kids freebies, is I printed out a like 4x6 photos of the group, but on like not as high of a quality photo paper. So it ended up being like per photo, it ended up being much cheaper than if I printed out like kind of regular, like regular 4x6 glossy photos. For these ones in particular, and for ATs, I just actually printed them out using my printer. We had photo photo glossy paper, and we had ink, so that was good. So like this wasn't essentially too expensive because I already had the supplies. For Stray Kids, I printed out using Canva, which like they were having a sale, so it ended up they were having a sale for print, so it ended up not being too much. And then I can remember for like Espa, I had to buy some extra beads and extra things off of Temu, so that added up the price. So it can be as cheap as you want it to be. I've had people who I've gotten freebies, which I loved. I've gotten freebies of people who just like printed things out on regular paper, or they printed out like stickers or made like homemade stickers using things like a printer, like, regular printer paper and tape. So, it really is up to you and what you have already on hand. I guess related to that, I would say, like, please don't feel pressure to spend a lot of money or to try to have like these really like higher end, expensive, like looking freebies, because a lot of the time, like I know some of my most favorite freebies were things where it was just things that printed out on paper, like memes. Like I really love it when I get a freebie meme, which is why I kind of like again with my last two Stray Kids concerts kind of did that. And people really enjoyed that too. So I think for the most part, people just enjoy and they're not expecting it. I think freebies, for a lot of the times, people still don't know that it's a thing at K-pop concerts. So when they do receive one, it's a surprise to them and it's appreciated. So that's also another thing of please don't feel pressure. If someone makes you feel bad, like your freebie isn't good enough, well, then that's on them. And really, I would just say that that's just not a good attitude to have if, someone's giving you something that they've taken the time to make and wanted to do it because they wanted to make your concert experience just a little bit better or a little bit, more memorable. I just think that, show appreciation for that. And I will say too, I personally, I have been lucky that I have not necessarily encountered any, I guess, rude or ungrateful, I guess if that's the word to use, concert goers at any of the concerts that I've been to. I've had people that were completely oh, I had no idea. And they were maybe a little bit, not blindsided, but they were just surprised. And then so when I was oh, here, have a freebie, they kind of just were thank you, and didn't know exactly what to say, and I guess didn't realize why are you handing me something why are you handing me this, because I don't think they realized that freebies were a thing. And it was funny because I can't remember which concert it was. I think it might have been Espa or Kiss of Life. I can't remember, but I was handing out a freebie and they clearly were why are you handing me this? I don't understand. And someone had to explain to them, it's like, oh yeah, it's K-pop concert freebie. And they're like, oh, that's a thing. Like, oh, wow. Okay, great. Thank you. Like, I've definitely gotten some of those where people were like a little shocked and like, so that they did not say anything to me, or they kind of gave me a look like, what is this? But again, I luckily haven't had any like rude encounters or anything like that from people who I was handing out freebies to. But I guess that might be a good segue into freebie etiquette, because freebies are becoming more and more of a thing over the years. I remember one of my friends who went to a Yoongi concert. This is like pre-COVID, and at least where she was concerned, like this was like what, 2018, 2019, she like got a couple of freebies, but for the most part it was still like not really as common. But I would say, like, especially within the last few years, freebies have become a lot more common, at least at K-pop concerts in North America. I'm sure that they've been handing out freebies in concerts in like Japan and Korea for probably like a number of years. But here, I guess in North America, and especially here in Canada, especially since I don't think we get as many K-pop concerts as maybe say in North America or even parts of Europe, we don't get as many groups coming here. The K-pop like concert freebie thing is still maybe like new to a lot of people who are just getting into concerts. Again, I certainly didn't know about K-pop concert freebies when I first started going to concerts. And had I not joined a Discord for the ATEEZ concert, I probably would not have realized that was a thing, and probably would have been one of those people that was like, what is this? When someone handed me a freebie at the ATEEZ concert. So where am I going with this? Yes, let's get into the concert etiquette. And I would say, like, I mean, I think it really just comes down to remembering to just recognize that the people who are making freebies, they're doing it out of the goodness of their hearts. They're doing it because they want to make your concert experience a little bit more memorable, a little bit more fun, and they're spending their time, they're spending their money on making these concert freebies. So, you know, a please and a thank you goes a long way. You know, I've, again, luckily have not had people kind of just come up to me and like grab freebies out of my hands. I know that unfortunately has happened to some people that I know who were handing out freebies, where people will just kind of come up to them and like snatch a freebie out of their hand. That's just not cool, right? Like, and that's just not good etiquette in general to do that to someone. So, you know, coming up to them and like saying like, can I please have a freebie? Thank you so much. And even if you don't want a freebie, because that can happen too. Like if someone comes up and offers you a freebie and you genuinely don't want a freebie, that's totally cool. You do not need to take someone's freebie if they offer it to you. But again, it's like, don't just be like, no, or like, you don't have the member that I want, or something like that. A simple like, no, thanks, I'm good, or no, thank you, but thanks for offering. Again, totally, at least to me, absolutely totally warranted to not want a freebie. Just be cool about it, I guess, is what I'm getting at. And on the topic of, because I am making individual members, I've only made individual member freebies for ATEEZ and I guess now P1Harmony. But for the other concerts that I've been to, I've made more like group focused freebies, or I've made like, even for aespa, I made like fandom, like the fandom name Mai. I did that for the phone charm. So I did add in some member specific Lomo cards as part of the freebie, but I still, for the most part, made freebies that were focused on the group or the fandom and not on the individual members like I am now. And in terms of member specific asks, I would say that unless they come up to you, unless the person who made the freebies comes up to you and says and asks which member do you want, then I would say like it's not too great to like come up to them and specifically say like I want Jung or I want Seoul. I would just personally wait for the person who's handing out freebies to come up and ask, what member do you want? Which happens a lot. Like there are a lot of people who hand out freebies that ask you like, what member do you want? And in that, and if that happens, then you can absolutely say like, oh, I want like Teo, or I want Kyo, or, you know, do you have so-and-so? And in those situations I've had, like when I've at the ATEEZ concert, I had a lot of people come up to me and ask like, what member do you want? It was Mingi's birthday, so I think a lot of people were asking for Mingi. So by the time a few of the people who were making freebies came up to me, Mingi was gone, and that's totally cool. That happens. So when they told me like, oh, like, you know, Mingi, like I'm all out of Mingi, or I'm all out of so and so, I would just respond back like, that's totally cool. Give me, you know, whomever you want. Or I would just preface, if someone did ask me who I wanted, I would just say like, oh, I would like so-and-so, but whoever, you know, I'm cool with whomever you want to give. So that's how I would really respond to that. Otherwise, I think that maybe like constantly asking like only for a specific member, I don't know if you're necessarily going to get a great response from the people who are handing out freebies. I think it's becoming more and more out, like, you know, more and more, I would say like not cool to just outright ask for, or in some cases demand, a member specific freebie and say if they don't have them or they ran out or something like that, then to just be like dismissive and be like, ugh, never mind then. Unfortunately, I have heard of cases like that. You know, I have heard of people like, you know, refusing to or making comments about like, ugh, you have this member, like, no, I don't want this member. Again, not cool. I find that to be quite rude, and it just like is a downer. And I would say another thing that's kind of come up lately is the freebies versus trades. So I've been seeing that a lot more discussion around people doing trades only at concerts instead of freebies. So I personally am all right with it as long as you're upfront about it. I don't know if it's like through a sign or something like that, or even if you're just telling the person, oh, I'm only doing trades right now, or I'm only doing trades for these, then I guess that's okay. Do I like it as a whole, or I don't like, not necessarily, like I don't want to see trades becoming the norm at K-pop concerts. I think it takes away from the original intent of freebies. And I think it just makes everything just so transactional, which I don't know. It just doesn't, I don't know. I'm just a little not cool with the fact if it were to become more of a norm to do just trades instead of like freebies at concerts. And again, I am speaking as someone who has not been to a ton of K-pop concerts, and so I haven't really seen how things have progressed or how things were a while back. And just putting the whole like transactional element into that type of thing, I don't know if will end well for anyone, because you just really get into like, well then, you know, I only want like quote unquote like equivalent trades for what I'm making, and like, well then who gets to decide that? Like, do you get to decide that? Like, or does the other person who's making that trade get to decide, well, what's an equivalent trade? Is it, you know, if I am, making this giant bag full of like little treats and photo cards and like bracelets and like this and that. And like, does that mean that like, oh, like your mini picket or your Lomo card, like that's not of equal value to me. It's just, and then I just, again, like getting into all of that, I just think it's just like is not conducive to having like a really fun experience at a concert. So while I don't mind, like if, again, I guess individually, like if someone were to come up to me and they were like, oh, I'm only doing trades, like, do you just want to trade? Then I suppose on like one-off basis, I don't mind. Again, as long as you're upfront about it, about only wanting to do trades and you're not handing things out for free. Again, like I'm like all right with it, I guess. But yeah, I just don't want that to be like become a thing, I think is what I'm getting at. It's just gonna not, it's just, I think it's just going to end up being like too many awkward situations will come out of that. All right. So I think that's really all the questions that I have. So I would say that if you have any questions that I did not address in this video, then please go ahead and comment down below. I was just kind of going off of the questions that I got on my TikTok video, and as well as questions and discussion points that I saw on other K-pop freebie like discussion TikToks. So if there's anything that I didn't address, please let me know. Have you ever handed out freebies? I'd love to know what kind of freebies that you have handed out and that you've made. What was the response? Have you unfortunately had any like not so great experiences? Have you had great experiences? I'd love to actually hear that as well. And I think right now I will probably just do like a time lapse of me packing up the rest of the freebies. And then we'll just kind of gather here afterwards and see the finished packages. Okay, I had to stop the time lapse because my phone ran out of batteries. So while my phone was charging, I just finished up packaging the rest of the freebies. So that's everything. If you are going to the P1Harmony concert, let me know. I hope you have the best time. And if you are specifically going to the Toronto stop, I hope to see you there. Come find me for a freebie. And yeah, that's everything. Again, if you have any questions about K-pop concert freebies or anything related to that, leave a comment below. I will definitely answer. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video. Bye.